terrible details. In later years, Paula recalled that when she started school, her classmates teased her because her mother was dead. As she got older, understanding that Paula may hear the truth from others, her family finally told her what had happened to her late mother. At the age of 45, Karen's husband passed away in 1989 due to health problems, along with her parents. He never learned the truth about who had murdered his wife. For several decades, there was no progress in the case. Paula would occasionally give interviews expressing that she hoped to bring down justice on the perpetrator. She also mentioned that she regularly contacted the local police department to see if there were any new developments in the case, but the answer was always no. This continued until the end of 2022, when the police received a call. A 29-year-old man contacted the police department responsible for the case, asking about any new developments. He explained that he knew about the crime his whole life because his grandmother had talked about it since he was a young child. It turned out they were distant relatives of the victim's family. The man was wondering if there had been any progress in solving the mystery. The man said he'd been reading newspaper articles about the case at work and wondered if there were any modern methods that could help solve it. To his surprise, the police department reopened the investigation following his call. As one would think, after so many years, none of the original investigators were around, so a new team began reviewing all the materials from the beginning. They discovered that almost all the evidence, besides the blood samples from the floor of the crime scene, had not only been preserved, but was also well maintained over the 56 years since the crime. This included the victim's clothing and other items from her home. The new investigators sent all the evidence they still had to the lab, where experts examined each item with modern tools. In the meantime, the new investigators re-interviewed everyone connected to the case who was still alive. 16 months after reopening the investigation, investigators received a call from the lab. Experts had found drops of blood on the victim's dress and got a DNA profile of an unknown man. This allowed the detectives to obtain a search warrant from a judge to collect a genetic sample from their main suspect, Mr. Barbier, who was still alive. Detectives quickly got a sample from him, sent it to the lab, and received confirmation. His DNA matched the blood found on the victim's dress. This confirmed that Mr. Barbier, who was only 21 at the time of the crime, had been in the victim's home the day she was murdered, and he had lied about how he got his injuries. April 29, 2024, the detectives returned to check James's home, and the now 79-year-old man was finally arrested for murder. When James was made aware of the DNA match, he didn't deny being the one who murdered Karen, and he confessed to the crime.